What's up, everybody? It's your boy Shelter Hell. I kind of want to address something. Um, like a lot of people have called me and said that I am an SEC hater and that I'm dogging on the SEC or whatever. And let me clarify something. I am not an SEC hater. Like, do I dislike the SEC? Yes, but the reason I dislike the SEC, it has nothing to do with the SEC as a conference. I respect the SEC. I respect how good it's. There's good football that comes out of the SEC. There's a lot of NFL players that come from the SEC. I'm from Florida. I'm a Florida State fan, and I grew up in where the SEC gets most of its recruits, like down there in the Central Florida and South Florida area and everything like that. So I know about the talent that the SEC is getting because I played against it when I was in high school when I was playing cornerback. Now here's the thing that I just don't like or whatever that I need to mostly address. I don't like how the SEC gets a pass for stuff that other conferences do not get a pass for. And the SEC makes excuses and uses those excuses that other conferences don't get the opportunity to use. Like, for example, like the other day, the committee chairman was saying that FSU has struggled a bunch of unranked opponents. Well, the thing that I had an issue to with that is they're the ones who do the rankings, and like the reason that other teams have played more ranked opponents is because they value the SEC more so than they value any other conference. Like, for example, Alabama's got 3 wins over top 25 opponents. They've got a win over Mississippi State. They got a win over LSU. They got a win over Auburn. Those three teams are ranked opponents in the SEC or whatever. Those are ranked opponents. But realistically, two of them should not be ranked. And that is the problem that I have. Like LSU has lost 4 games, and in one of those games, they got blanked at home by Arkansas, a 6-loss team. No other conference does somebody get a pass like that. Arkansas is a 6-loss team. They've got 2 wins in conference. 2 wins in conference that they've 2 wins over the last 2 years in their conference that they've won. But the committee still kind of like, I guess, must feel like Arkansas must not be that bad of a team or whatever, that they've just gone on bad luck or whatever. That makes no sense. And then Auburn. Auburn has lost 4 of their last 6 games. And 3 of them they've lost by double digits. One of which they got stomped out by Georgia. They got stomped out by Georgia. Why is this team still ranked? And not only are they ranked, they're ranked number 18. They're ranked ahead of 3 teams that have they're ranked ahead of 3 teams that have 3 losses. That makes no sense. No other conference gets that kind of pass. You can't tell me that it is fair for a team that has lost 4 of their last 6 games and 3 of them by double-digit margins for them to still be able to be ranked 18th, because no other conference gets that kind of pass. And the thing is, everybody in the SEC, especially, what another thing that pisses me off so much is that the SEC schedules garbage. Like, looking at some of the teams that the SEC, like Florida schedules Western fucking Kentucky, Eastern Carolina, like Alabama's playing like SMU, FAU, like these are shit teams. And like they bitch at us about strength of schedule. These motherfuckers are scheduling some bullshit ass teams. And we go out there, the ACC, we go out there and we schedule good teams. Like, and here's another thing: these schedules, you got to put them out 3 years in advance. So we have no idea that an Oklahoma State is just gonna fucking tank. I mean, we can't control that Notre Dame's gonna fucking tank. We can't control that shit. We gotta plan this shit out 3 years in advance. And when we scheduled Oklahoma, this was the year that they went 11-1, went to the fucking Fiesta Bowl and beat Andrew Luck and Stanford, and very well could have gone to and should have gone to the Sugar Bowl to be facing LSU. We scheduled them then, and that's back when we were down. We scheduled them then, and we scheduled them in a neutral site in their backyard, essentially in Dallas, Texas. But we get slammed and bombarded for having a weak ass schedule. And realistically, they're talking shit about the ACC. The ACC went 8-2 so far this year versus non-conference opponents. And we went 4-0 versus the SEC. Now, I know another argument that a lot of you SEC fans and a lot of you bloggers are going to sit there and say is like, well, how come you're going to sit there? Well, you guys play the scraps of the SEC. You guys play the SEC East. Well, you don't get to. No. If you want to say that your conference is the best conference, you don't get to just distance yourself from one entire fucking division and just say the SEC East is ass. Because you know what? We haven't distanced ourselves. Virginia Tech plays in the fucking Coastal. And you know what Virginia Tech did? They went to Ohio State in their backyard and beat Ohio State. Boston College beat USC. Our scraps are going out there and beating better teams, more talented teams. Your scraps are getting beat. So don't sit here and tell me that the freaking SEC, oh, well, that was the SEC East. Because you know what? We took people from the Coastal, and people from the Coastal were going over and, handling their business. So, I mean, that's my major issue with the SEC, is because, I mean, let's just face it, ESPN owns the rights to 33 of the 36 bowls that are going to be played this year. 33 of the 36. Right? They have the exclusive rights to the college football playoff. The exclusive rights to it, right? And their network is the only network that broadcasts the college football playoff rankings or whatever. Mind you, ESPN also has a contract with the SEC network. The SEC network. Okay? Now, with that being said, you don't think that you guys have that ESPN has some kind of fucking influence on this shit? Like, the SEC, like the way that the SEC is being talked about and brainwashed, and especially with this committee, because I'm legitimately convinced that a lot of these motherfuckers, just do not legitimately know anything about football. These motherfuckers have never strapped on a pair of pads. They've never gone to work. They've never, hit a fucking sled or had to do a fucking Oklahoma drill, or had to do a goddamn two-a-day, and anybody that has played football knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, playing a two-a-day, because they're weighting and measuring factors that should not matter in a game. This isn't fucking figure skating. You should not weight or measure, how a team look. First of all, if you're going to do that, then if you're going to measure how a team looks in its wins, well, then how come you're not measuring how a team looks in its loss? How come you're not measuring how a team looks in its loss? So you're going to tell me that a team that beat another team, that their resume isn't as good as the other team because, they beat that other team. That makes no sense to me. And the main thing that I can't stand is that they use this fucking double standard for the SEC. They use this fucking double standard for the SEC. If an SEC team is struggling versus an unranked SEC opponent, then it's just, that just goes to show you how deep the league is. No. If you struggle versus an unranked opponent, you struggled versus an unranked opponent. You shouldn't get credit for beating each other up, because all I heard from the beginning of this year was how much of a world beater division that the SEC West is. The SEC West is the greatest division in the history of time, and that they can leap tall buildings in a single bound and everything like that. And then what happened? The SEC got proven to be fucking fraudulent and shit. Fucking posers and busters and shit. Arkansas, who you guys call the baby runt of the group and everything like that, Arkansas ended up stomping out fucking LSU. LSU, do you really think LSU's good? Their quarterback is ass. My grandmother could throw a better fucking quarterback than fucking Jennings. The SEC has no quarterback this year that would be a first round pick in any team would spend their first round pick on. Not one. The closest thing that the SEC has to a good quarterback is Tennessee with Josh Dobbs. If that kid develops himself a little bit better, he might actually become a decent quarterback and actually might get himself drafted in a first round of the NFL. But nobody else. Blake Sims at Alabama? Hell no. Nick Marshall at Auburn? Fuck no. Hudson Mason? Georgia fans would love to have fucking Aaron Murray back. That's what I cannot stand about this league. That's what I don't like about this division. That's what I don't like about, especially the SEC fans or whatever. Because when you guys sit there and you say, "Oh, we're the best conference," well, okay. Now I'll give you the previous 7 years. What has the SEC done in the past 2 seasons to warrant them saying that they deserve to be called the number one team in college football right now? Because honestly, right now, I mean, do I feel the ACC is the best? No, but do I feel any? Do I feel like all conferences right now have a little bit of a parity? Yes, I do, because I feel like any conference could beat any fucking conference, and it's been proven. The ACC, we went out and beat the Big Ten, we went out and beat the Pac-12, we went out and beat the SEC, so we can compete with anybody anywhere, and we did. And we did it on the biggest stages as well too. We beat the SEC in the national championship, and then we went and beat the Big Ten and in the freaking Orange Bowl and shit like that. But everybody sits here and calls like our conference so weak and shit like that. Says that the ACC can't compete with anybody and everything like that. People, you guys got to forget. The ACC is in the exact same backyard as what the SEC is. We recruit from the same players, the same pools. We get the same fucking talent. The only thing is that you guys just have the different reputation than we do. And it sickens me and it pisses me off for no reason. Because I really do not feel like the SEC should be considered like this all-world beater conference. You guys have gone 5-6 versus non-conference Power 5 opponents. Non-conference Power 5 opponents. You're 5-6. The ACC is 8-2. And don't give me this shit about, okay, well, ACC, you went and played our scraps. Our scraps went out and took care of business. Don't talk to me about your scraps. So that just means that our scraps are better than your scraps. Anyway, that's all I got to say. Catch you later. Peace.